Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico from the Creativity Cave. I'm thrilled to be stamping with you today. I have two gorgeous cards, and would you believe these cards came from a donut stamp set? I am using this month's Paper Pumpkin Kit. You can see the kit right here makes these adorable donut cards. And I have to tell you though, so here are the projects it makes. There's, I believe, 9 cards plus 9 little treat bags that they go in. When I first pulled this out, I pulled out these card bases, which reminded me of like a compact. This, like if you fold it, this kind of looks like a compact, like that. And, you know, powder your nose. But then I got to this one, and I'm sorry, but this one is boobs. There's just no way around it. These are boobs. That's what you see, right? I mean, you can't get away from it. So I have to come up with something kind of clever to make a boob card out of this. I'm thinking this is a great breast cancer card. I actually know a couple of people who have been going through breast reconstruction surgery lately, and you know I'm sending one of them a boob card, because if you can't laugh about that, I think personally laughter's the best medicine. Now when you add one of these adorable sprinkle things to the card, it of course looks like a donut. I have one more in here that I am trying to find. Oh, I know, it's in the pouch. So in here is the other card. I love you a whole bunch. So I think that's a really sweet donut card as well. But let me show you how I came up with these cards that are an alternative idea of what you can do with your kit once you have it. So one of the other things I wanted to grab out of here though is there's these cute little iridescent-y circle sticky things that I wanted to add a couple to my cards. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and the stamp set that comes in Paper Pumpkin, by the way, if you don't know what Paper Pumpkin is, it's our monthly subscription service. I'm going to pull this little piece of cardstock so you can see this better, but this is the stamp set. It has a bunch of really fun words that go with the idea behind it, which is the donuts. So there's like a little sprinkle image, and then there's some words, and like I love you a whole bunch is kind of obviously a clever play on words to go with the donuts. But we're going to make some beautiful flower cards using watercolor, and the watercoloring technique is extremely simple. So even if you are not a watercolorer, you can be making these cards. So I'll show you how I did them because they're really simple. All that you're going to need is an aqua painter. And actually, I'm going to take the one that's like my kind of grimy one. This is a little newer and nicer. My grimy one has had like glue in it. It's had all kinds of weird things happen to it. It still works, but this one's just a little nicer. Okay, you know, sometimes you want to take out the nice stuff for your company. So that's what you guys are. You're my company. All right, so on the first card, this one, really, really easy. I'm going to take the little sprinkle images, and when I put these down, I kind of set them on my card, and then I picked the 2 up with my 1 block, so it was a little easier to work with. And I'm going to ink this up with some black archival ink because, of course, I don't want the ink to bleed. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp that up here. May your day be sprinkled with love. Such a nice sentiment. All right, I'm going to set that aside. And then this one over here, I'm going to do a little differently. And they're both basically the same thing. But, oh goodness, what am I doing? Got to take my nice one out, not my grimy one. Okay, so I'm going to take and just color little circles of color right onto my piece of watercolor paper. Now, watercolor paper is really helpful to get a nice look. If you use regular cardstock, you won't get this beautiful watercolor look because the paper just can't support it. If you want kind of different looks, you can add a little bit more color. So like this will make it a little darker here at the bottom, and it'll spread out with the water. Okay, then I'll just clean my brush off, switch to the next color. I'm using Pink Pirouette, Peekaboo Peach, and Calypso Coral. All pretty colors. So pretty. And I'm kind of spacing these out with the mind set that I'm making a little bouquet of flowers. And I also want them to not all be, you know, equally spaced out amongst them. So I think we're good with that. And then I'll do my last color. I always start light and then work dark. If you start with dark, sometimes you get carried away and then there's too much and then it's too dark and you can't take it back. You can always add more color, which is nice. Okay, so there is one. Here's another one. And maybe one more up here. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I think I'm happy with that. Now we want to set this aside to dry completely. So that's why I kind of am switching back and forth between my two cards. So I'm going to set that one aside over here. I'm going to come back to this one and I'm going to do kind of the same thing. In this one, I am only using the two lighter colors. I just was keeping it simple. So I'll clean my brush off so that it's clean. And then I'm going to come back in and use my Peekaboo Peach and Pink Pirouette, and I'll do 3 or 4 of each of these colors. Depending on the size circles I get, I'll have a little more or a little less room to work with than my original. And then again, I'm picking up my Pink Pirouette and then coloring some more flowers right on here. And I just think this is so pretty because it's really light and soft. Perfect for springtime. Maybe one more up here. And it's okay if you go into the ink a little bit. If you overlap it, that's fine. Don't worry about that. Okay, so I've kind of filled in my center area like that. And again, this is just so simple. Anybody can do that. There's nothing fancy about these cards at all. Now I'm going to do one more thing, and that is I'm going to bring in my Pear Pizzazz ink pad. And here's where things get really technical. I'm going to make little leaves, okay? And if you want to practice a little bit first, pick up some color. And this is where I wanted the nicer aqua painter versus my raggedy old one, because I am going to paint these little leaves. And basically, that's all it is. You're going to do, I'm exaggerating the size here, you're going to do 2 kind of half-C oval-y things and then fill it in, and that creates a leaf, okay? Obviously, we're going to do them smaller here. Now, you do want this to be dry because you don't want the leaves to bleed into the color of the flower. So, we're going to let them dry a little bit. I might need to take my aqua painter out, or not my aqua painter, my heat tool. Convince them they should dry faster. I like to flip it over and flatten it out. I don't like when my watercolor paper gets ideas about what it can and cannot do. Okay. Now it is really important that you have it completely dry. If it's not, you can get kind of a mess on your hands, and you don't want that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is carefully color little leaves next to each one of these flowers. And I'm doing 2, and I'm kind of going where there's room. So like I've got room down here, I can have them coming out. This is a little bit bigger flower, so of course I can create a little larger leaf. And then on the smaller flowers, I can do smaller leaves. But I'm just trying to add a little bit of color. Now, depending on your thoughts on this, these can be, this is not turning out so hot. Ugh. These can be peaches. I kind of thought of that when I was making my original sample. And again, they can overlap with the words. That's no big deal. And I'll put one right there and maybe a couple up here, just to kind of fill in. So there we go. Isn't that cute? Okay. Now to finish this off, I'm actually going to do a couple of things. I'm going to start with this little sprinkle stamp. This comes in the stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that in black in the centers of each of these. Again, you really have to have a completely dry flower before you do that. Otherwise, you will have a muddy, ugly mess. And you want a cute card, not an ugly one. And then also, I kind of smushed it a little bit. You want a light touch because these are little dots. You don't want big smooshy blobs. And I'll give you an example of a smooshy blob right there. Do you see how they're all smooshy? I even caught the edge. We want them nice, distinct, cute dots. Do you see the difference with the light pressure? Okay, so there is my card. Now to finish this up, couldn't be easier, seriously. I'm using some of the Peekaboo Peach ribbon that I'm going to tie around. I also cut a layer of Peekaboo Peach cardstock, and this is just a touch bigger than my piece. Now all the dimensions for this will be on my blog. And then as soon as I remember what I did with my ribbon, uh-oh, it's gone. I hate when I lose my ribbon. I might have put it away. Sometimes I get that way. I put things away. That'll teach me. I don't know what happened to it. Okay, we might have to table that idea for just a minute. Okay, so then once I have this popped up, I'll put it on a pink pirouette card. Or I'm sorry, once I find my ribbon, I'll put it on my pink pirouette card. Now here's the other thing I wanted to do. I grabbed those little iridescent thingies. These are just little circles. And I could fill in with a couple of these in here just to kind of jazz it up a little. And I think that adds kind of a nice little touch, a little iridescent. Now the other thing I can, of course, do is use my Wink of Stella, because who doesn't like Wink of Stella? So I can just kind of ring Wink of Stella around each of these cards, and then I really have something pretty dang cute here, don't you think? So I'll show you that up close so you can see all the shimmer. Now to finish this card up, remember I'm turning this one into a bouquet. So what I want to do for this is take a marker, and I have, you can use anything. Our markers work great, but I have one of the Project Life journaling pens, and I have the really fine tipped one. And I always like to start with kind of the center flower and draw my skinny little line coming straight down. That'll kind of help me know where to bend the lines for the rest of them. So you can see I'm doing that. And then I've got this one. And then this one, I'll kind of just go like that. And of course, they can bend so that they fit right like that. Okay, and however you need to continue these lines down. All right, so there's my bouquet. And again, I'm going to stamp those little centers. And then one of the other stamps that comes in this set is Thankful for You. So I'm going to stamp that sentiment on my card as well. And I just think this is so sweet. You could add a little ribbon to kind of tie your bouquet together if you wanted. Or you can just leave it as is. It doesn't matter. I kind of like the as is. It's simple and clean. And on this one, I'm just going to layer it up as well with a little bit of cardstock. Oh, but before I do that, I do want to stamp the sentiment. Now it says thankful for you, but there's a little line underneath that, and I didn't want the line. So I took and covered the line up from the stamp image with a Post-it. And then I'm going to cover, oops, it fell off, of course. And I'm going to ink it up. So basically I'm omitting that line. Okay, important step, remove the Post-it, throw it in the trash. It's covered in black permanent ink. You don't want that. Then I'm going to stamp Thankful for You right down there at the bottom, and I don't have the line, and I kind of like it that way too. Okay, now I can also jazz this up with a few of these little dot thingies. They are adhesive backed, and they can kind of fill out my bouquet just a little bit, which is kind of nice. I always like things in odd numbers, so I put 5 on there. And again, like you had to ask, of course we're going to put some Wink of Stella. I think this is my one that's like gone, so let me get one that has some in it. There we go, that's better. So I'm just kind of ringing around the flowers with Wink of Stella. And I think what a beautiful and such a simple way to make some really pretty flowers with a donut kit. I mean, please, that's kind of awesome, if I can just say. And this was one of those projects where inspiration struck. I was working on something else. I thought about it. I quit doing the other project I was working on, made this, and then went back to my other card because I was kind of excited with the idea. And, you know, sometimes you just have to do that. I didn't want to lose it because actually I was thinking I do Friday quickies each week, Friday quickie techniques and tips. And I had an idea in my head for what I wanted to do this week, and then I lost it. It's gone. I can't remember. So sometimes when inspiration strikes, you have to go with it. Anyway, I hope that you guys loved these cards and are going to give this a try. It's so easy to do. And once I find my ribbon, my card will look like that. So thanks guys for joining me. I love stamping with you. Come back another time and join me. All of the details for this project are on my blog, so make sure and check that out. And if you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin right now, there is an amazing deal. You get 25% off your first 3 months. That deal ends June 10th, so make sure you subscribe right away, and it is for new subscribers only. So if you have any questions, of course, let me know. And did you know that if you subscribe for Paper Pumpkin through me, you get free tutorials each month on other alternative ideas just like this for using the parts of your kit that you have. So thanks again for joining me. I can't wait to stamp again with you guys. Take care. Bye.